Hello, everyone, and good morning. I hope you all are doing good and are safe. Welcome to the first ever conference of UXtalks. Mahatma Gandhi ji once said, "Woman is the companion of a man gifted with equal mental capacities." He truly believed in equality and worked for women empowerment. Today, on the occasion of his birth anniversary, we are going to celebrate the women in design. My name is Priyanka, and I am a UX researcher and trainer at UXExpert. Before we begin with our conference, I would like to talk about five amazing women who have inspired me to get into the UX field. Not all of them belong to the UX field, but if they would not have been there, I wouldn't be what I am today. The first one is Dr. Kalpana Thakre. She was my professor during my engineering. She taught me all the database management systems, SQL, DBMS, ODBMS, etc. And her doctorate is also related to content-based data retrieval. But she was my final year's project guide as well. And she made us, my group, do an intensive literature review for almost half of the year. All of us were really tired and frustrated about it. She made us review all the previous work, learn from it, and then work on our thing. I remember she used to even tell us the mistakes in our product, like, the font, the size, and the color, etc. I was a final year student, desperate to get out of the college. So I absolutely hated that extra work. But then all that research work paid off. We were one of the top 5 best projects in the entire Singagarh Institute that year. We also ended up publishing our research paper at International Journal of CS and IT. Well, we can't really call literature review as user research, but in that case, it was kind of a competitive analysis. But then it was an eye opener for me. I always wanted to study further, so I kind of did a little research and figured out what we did during that project was nothing but UX. And it was very interesting. So I got myself into University College Dublin, Ireland for my master's in information systems. I met my second influencer, Dr. Margaret Barry, over there. She was my professor for digital storytelling. She holds her PhD in HCI and was an amazing professor. I used to love her lectures and I worked really hard for the digital storytelling project. She is the one who made me realize the importance of user research, empathy, storytelling, and good communication skills. I met my third influencer also at the UCD, Dr. Judith Wisterman. She holds her PhD in qualitative user requirements analysis and usability evaluation of information systems. She taught me information architecture and web technologies. She was also my guide for my thesis, which was a usability analysis of a website. I absolutely loved working on that project under her guidance. Like how Dr. Kalpana led me to UX, Dr. Judith was the one who made me realize that I wanted to do UX research for the rest of my life. My fourth influencer would be Dr. Susan Weinstein. Who doesn't know her in the field of UX? My professor at the university used to mention her work all the time, and hence I started following her. I read her blogs, her books, listened to her talks, and fell in love with her work. They don't call her the brain lady for no reason. And thanks to Tushar sir, I got to interact with her last month. And my last but not the least one would be my mom. She is a really loving homemaker, and she has spent her entire life taking care of my family. But it's only after I learned UX, I realized she has been applying all the techniques we use as UXers for her entire life. I, my sister, and my dad are her users, and she does everything to make our lives easy and better. She takes care of our needs, our frustrations. She even gives us rewards sometimes. She is a really good listener, a good storyteller, and very empathetic towards us. And what amuses me is she doesn't even know what she does is UX without any training. And I had to get a master's degree to learn all of that. So those were the five women who have inspired me to be a UX researcher. Today, we have six such inspiring, amazing women with us, and they are going to share their experiences and expertise with us. So, welcome everyone to our conference and in this celebration. Before we begin with the conference, though, I would like to introduce Mr. Tushar Deshmukh, who has provided us with this amazing platform. UXExpert is one of the top 10 user experience service provider companies in India, and Tushar is the founder and CEO of the UX Experts. He is also the director of UXUIHiring Lab, which provides professional training in human computer interaction, usability, user psychology, user research, prototyping tools, and front end development in various languages. He is also a visiting professor at Symbiosis Institute of Design and has given speeches at various other conferences. He also works as a UX consultant for various other companies and has been working in this field for more than 20 years. And he is going to be with us throughout the day today, moderating all the talks. Thank you for providing such amazing platform, sir.
Thank you.
So let's begin with our first talk. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce our first speaker today, Director of Product Design and SAP, Riya Thosar. She is a passionate product design leader with over 20 years of experience in building, growing, and nurturing exceptional multidisciplinary design teams. She has also directed many large scale enterprise product design programs at companies like SAP, LinkedIn, and NetApp. She has worked closely with global cross functional teams consisting of product managers, engineers, sales, marketing, and customer support teams. Her passion for mentoring has led her to volunteer to coach high school students on a career in design, and she also conducts various workshops on human-centered design and collaborative problem solving using design thinking. Today, she is going to talk to us about a multidisciplinary design approach, the value. Welcome, Ria.
Thanks, Priyanka.
Now, I would request Tushar sir to take over and let's begin with the session.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Priyanka. Uh, so as everybody know, this is our first as a conference. So far, under UX Talk, we are bringing great speakers, leaders, and they are talking on giving us a knowledge for. So now today, as today is Mahatma Gandhi's Jayanti, so today we thought this is a very special day. And on this day, we should celebrate women empowerment or entrepreneurship. And this is the reason we are today we are six great speaker today we have. And today we will start with Riya. Uh, so just UX talk. This is activity we are doing for UX community here in India. And I thanks Riya, you have taken time for at very late night at your end and you are just giving us time for UX community. So I think let's start. So today, as our topic is like a multidisciplinary, and I believe your own journey it is similar to that multidisciplinary. So let's start with
Yeah,
your as your as let's you can tell our audience what is your
sure,
journey and how you started as a design education.
sure. So, first of all, thanks for having me, Tushar. It's my pleasure to share my experience with everyone. And Priyanka, thanks for sharing such a beautiful story. It's pretty similar, and I very strongly believe that mentor has a very huge role in our career and in our life. So, thanks for sharing that. So, starting with my journey, I think this started somewhere back in school, where I was always inclined towards creativity and art right from those school days. and that's where I decided my path into design and got into design school. I did my graduation in applied arts, and after that, the formative year of my career, I explored all the different design disciplines like motion graphics, traditional animation, user-centered design, learning new methodologies, worked with new technologies, and explored application of design through these different mediums. That was pretty exciting. So while working as a graphic designer, I actually learned quite a lot of things. Again, as an animator, as a UX designer, and as a design leader, I really got very nice mentors throughout this journey who shared their experience. Learning from them is something actually helped me shape myself as a person as a professional. And I think very similar to what Priyanka said, right? You should learn something from each of these people when you meet throughout this journey. Um, Again, what I gained, I would say, from that initial 5 years which I spent exploring is the design maturity, the confidence to explore, the ability to balance art and science of design. So as I progressed, I definitely, I would say, got better into all these things. After that, exploring these design disciplines, I settled into user experience design for last 20 years because I really love the whole concept of user-centered design and the way it helps you think from user point of view. It's not about you, it's about users. So I really love that and decided, okay, I'm going to continue my career in this direction. During that period, I worked across different industries, geographies. I set up globally distributed design team and evangelized design at some of the leading organizations. I have designed product experiences for many global consumer and enterprise customers and worked in a consulting and product space. So, got flavor of all of these. And now at this stage, as Priyanka mentioned earlier in the introduction, I actually love I extend my passion for design by mentoring young designers in the global design community by either conducting mentoring sessions or also conducting workshops for especially for teenagers because I strongly believe they are our future and I think we have to spend some time in our future. So at SAP, I have been wearing multiple hats like design manager, design lead, focusing on improving end-to-end customer journey, and innovation lead, focusing on machine learning space to build an intelligent enterprise cloud experience for our customers. So that's my journey, over 20 years journey so far.
And that was fascinating, and for people like they are starting as new as a career as a design, they will take a lot of things. So, how was your experience as a multidisciplinary designer? So, you can just
Yeah,
put some points on that.
sure. So I would say I had an advantage because my background was in advertising, as it has a perfect blend of art and design with more quantitative subjects like user psychology or consumer behavior, what we learned, right, during that time. So I definitely had that flavor already, got exposed to that. I had also developed skills during that time, like creating advertising, copywriting, right? We always, for assignments, we used to write your own copy. So some of these skills, creating graphic design, understanding consumer behavior, doing some research. So these skills I have already developed that time. And these skills you can apply pretty much in any other area of design by adopting them for the particular domain or design discipline, wherever you are working in. So, uh, basically the user or consumer is the core for any service or product that we are building, right? That's our focus, whatever, no matter which discipline you are working in. So the idea was basically apply the knowledge that I gained from all these different areas in the medium that I'm working in right now. So you learn something when you explore, you work. That's the philosophy I always followed. So you explore, you learn, again you apply, and that really helped me throughout my journey. So when I worked in the motion graphics as a graphic designer, I gained confidence and proficiency in technology and using different tools, which I was pretty new at that time in the early stage of career. When I worked as an animator, I learned how to tell story and create a storyboard. Again, creating key animation. So these are some of the technical aspects of animation which I could learn that time. Again, I apply some of these skills very frequently when I'm creating a day in the life of user storyboards.
Mm.
So it's pretty relevant. Creating a product demos while creating demo animation or applying visual design to wireframes. So all these skills, I say that it's still pretty much valid and I can every day apply that. I use all these expertise throughout the design process wherever it is relevant and add value. Of course, you need to know the key is choosing the right skill at the right time. Is something you should know when to use that. And again, as I said, like all these disciplines are tied with each other, so uh, learning never goes waste. So that is something I always followed.
I think that will be a great answer because even as in India also and everywhere, what we see whenever designers come and they always have some fear in mind if they come from a different backgrounds. And maybe I'm a
Hmm.
graphic designer, how I can make in a career, or I'm
Yeah.
not a designer, and then how should I enter in a design field or UX field or research field? So that's it. So our next question will be then if people are coming from such backgrounds, and so what you find as your experience, so it is advantages for or it is some disadvantage also for designers.
So, see, as I said, like every discipline, whatever you are building or designing, what we are trying to do is, uh, we are solving some problem, right? And maybe we are solving that problem in a different ways based on the background we are coming from or the experience we are bringing to the table, right? Or the different disciplines we come from. So multidisciplinary approach, I think what we really need to understand what it means is basically drawing from multiple disciplines to redefine the problem and reach solution based on a new understanding of problem in a simple word. So that is something we should always remember what it means and how you can use those skills. By bringing these different perspectives and experiences to the table, we can definitely generate better solution with better understanding. That definitely helps. And I have worked with different kind of skill sets. So I worked with a data scientist, I have worked with ethnographers, I have worked with cognitive psychologists to develop new ways to find the solution to the problem. So that collaboration is very, very interesting. And multidisciplinary design is all about collaboration, being curious and adaptive, basically combining methods and creating new ones. So it is all about that. According to me, I personally feel there are a lot of advantages, but we'll talk about both advantage and disadvantage. So it's basically, as I said, like using the right skill and knowledge at the right time and right way is the key. And then most of the time you will see there is advantage. But talking about more specific, I would say I remember the fun part is people used to call me in a very early stage of my career. People used to call me one man woman. One basically, it's like army. You don't have to really depend on anyone. So it's like you are a one man army. You can do everything if you have all these skills. So having multiple skills provide you creative confidence, and you can swiftly switch the gears in different design roles, or if you are changing the industry or design disciplines. This also help a lot when you are working in a small set of environments or in a team structure where designer takes care of complete end-to-end design process as a product designer. And this especially happens with a lot of startups these days where they have very small teams and not having a lot of budget, right, to have multiple people to hire. So definitely in this kind of environment is definitely helpful. It also breaks the monotony. I would say it's fun when you get to do a lot of these different things in one single project, right? So it doesn't get boring at some point, not doing the same thing again and again. So that's one. Second is personally I felt is you develop empathy towards the other team members. Maybe they are coming from a different skill sets, right? Because being a multidisciplinary designer, you already know what are the challenges of those other skill sets, and you know where can you help them as a your team members. So that's, I think, one of the very biggest benefit. Then another one is of course it's a professional enhancement, right? Because you know everything, and it's like you can manage pretty much the entire design process. So embracing a multidisciplinary approach to design is helpful as you know more about more than one discipline, I would say. And it's helpful, it also helpful for you to progress in your career. One more advantage I would say is again the way you try to solve problem. There is always a different approach because you have knowledge of other disciplines. You just don't think in one certain way. You think about lot of other mediums. How can you solve that issue? So it's very unique way of approaching the problem solving. And yes, again, being a single designer, I think collaboration also gets it little better and easier because you are the one who's handling everything and you're collaborating with stakeholders, your partners. Now let's talk about few disadvantages. There are not many because personally I always felt it's an advantage for me. But yes, there are few which you might feel time constrained at some point because being a multidisciplinary designer, you are doing everything right from top to bottom. Um, and you also need to communicate all these things to other team members, right? Maybe you're working with engineers or product management team. So that actually adds lot of pressure on you. And if you're not efficient enough, that can be a bit tricky. So that's one disadvantage I feel. Another one is again as a softer aspect of collaboration, stepping on others' toes. This happens especially when you are working in a multidisciplinary team environment where you maybe roles are dedicated. You have interaction designer, visual designer, and you are joining as an interaction designer, but you also have all these other skills. So what happens unconsciously, you suppose you have to create a interaction design wireframe, you create it, but you also do visual design. And while doing that, what happens? You override some of the decisions made by visual designer, who's the specialist on your team. And it's not you're doing it deliberately, but you have to be aware of all these things because maybe you're stepping into someone else's zone. So in that case, you have to collaborate properly with those team members. So that's one of the very, I would say, important and softer aspect of collaboration because that can create a conflict between you. Then it can be challenging. Again, you mentioned that Tushar, finding a job, right? Because sometimes it gets very tricky to find the job because maybe the organization feel that you have a lot of skills, but I don't know which one is useful for me. So I would say in that case, it is on you how you project yourself, right? And make sure you communicate to the organization that the skills they are looking for, I have it, and this is how I am going to help you that way, or how you can utilize my all other skills. So I think with that it's easily manageable. It's not something I see a big issue. And nowadays I see this huge pattern that all the big companies are actually looking for people with a multidisciplinary background.
So
Yeah.
I think that that is the important thing, that companies are now looking for multidisciplinary.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
that reason, maybe that we are in IT sector, or maybe now latest that we are entering in a different domains and we are working.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
then as an industry, as you also have worked with multi-level companies, starting from startups to right now you're at SAP. So, as an industry and as a bosses or as a managers or as a entire industry, what they are expect from multidisciplinary designers. So, there are a lot of expectations they have, or it is like a okay, we have one more designer in our team, which can be just we are doing the designs that. So very special expectations. What our audience, the which are the newcomers in this design, they will take from this.
So, again, speaking in context of UX and product design, it is expected that the designer should come across as an expert who can visualize and help connect business, engineering, and user needs. So, and you need to know end to end how to do
Hmm.
complete design, right? And I have seen this very often that in the job requirements also there is a role description, but it is expected that no one is going to tell you what you need to do. You should yourself know how you can actually contribute or how you can help product or organization to be successful. So I would say there are few things which maybe from the multidisciplinary background is expected, but not as in particularly only in that context, but as a overall from designer is expected. I'll just talk about that. Uh, First is I think designer or product designer or UX designer should have a good design skills. That's the foundation. They should have a knowledge of other disciplines like interaction, visual design, communication. Basically, the communication that means within multiple different business units, and basically user research and prototyping. So whoever has this background, right, or who can do these tasks or perform these tasks definitely has the advantage when you are getting interviewed. And another one is having a knowledge of technical things, right? For example, maybe you're not from a technical background, but not necessarily you have to code as a designer, but you should have a good grasp on the technical concept and advantage. You should know the advantages and disadvantages of the technology. So it's helpful for you when you're designing it for that. So that's one thing which I have seen it multiple times. Then this one is basically, I think it's for applicable for everyone, is for personality and professional traits, like how do you collaborate, how do you communicate, what's whether you have customer focus, um, what are your work standards, your efficiency, your problem solving skills, um, how do you manage your overall time, how do you manage yourself, are you self motivated, your knowledge of business, and again knowledge of market and technology, do you have a positive attitude, do you have a growth mindset. So some of these things are actually very frequently and almost in all the jobs you will see that it's important. They look for it. Now again, another thing is like, do you are you keeping yourself updated with industry trends? Because with the current whatever the way we are progressing in design, UXers needs to actually have skill beyond the screen now, right? Because in the age of augmented and virtual reality, voice user interfaces, and chatbots, as UX becomes more closely tangled with business outcome, and employers are actually expecting that putting emphasis on soft skills also and business understanding. So these are some of the things I would say are extremely important. That's what industry is looking for when they are hiring designer. Multidisciplinary background is a big plus. That's what I'm seeing whenever I go for any of the events or wherever maybe I've in networking. I have seen even at the senior level, people are coming from multidisciplinary background. In fact, that's the big advantage at the leadership level because you know across, you know what's going on, right, across different stages of design. So it's helpful when you manage the team.
So it is
Yeah.
specialized in a niche or to be just a multidisciplinary designer. So when I become project myself as a
Uh,
designer, then
hmm. I would say it is depends on what stage you are in your career, and also it's a personal preference, I would say, because you should know what excites you, right? When you are going through the end-to-end design process, is it the entire process or any one of the aspect you feel you are good at or you feel passionate about? So you should know that as an individual. Another thing is, if you are a fresh graduate, it's beneficial to explore other design discipline. Again, I'm saying this based on my experience, but not necessary. Many times people are very focused, they know what they are good at, and they can definitely go with one particular path. But exploring these different areas in the beginning helps in terms of gaining the different skill set, gaining the knowledge of other design areas, and it will definitely help you and benefit you as you progress in your career for sure. In my case, I've started my career with advertising, then moving to graphic design, then motion graphics, then traditional animation, and then UX. After getting into UX, I decided to get specialized because, as I said, like I felt passionate about the whole aspect of user-centered design and the science behind it. So something I felt, yes, I can now really work many years in this area because there is so much to learn. So it's pretty much you can wear multiple hats while playing these different roles. I when I was doing that, I played multiple roles. I wore different hats, like a creative head leading the team of visual designers, or leading a multidisciplinary team of interaction designer, visual designer, researchers, animators, and so on. I feel a UX person should have a grounding in that entire end-to-end process, and but they particularly feel passionate about one area. By all means, they can focus and excel in that. But there are multiple ways to look at whether you want to specialize or you want to be a generalist. So definitely I'll talk about few benefits or perspective, not benefits, but perspective of few of them is basically you can be generalist all the way. So in this approach, again, designer need to be adaptable and able to adopt quickly as they move from company to company or role to role, right? Another, if you are thinking about your career in long term, then generalist approach makes sense because, as I said, it helps a lot. As a lead, as a man in a management role, it's much easier to manage team if you understand what everyone is doing because you have a ground reality. You don't have to be an expert at everything, but having a good knowledge across the whole UX spectrum goes long way for sure. For hiring senior designers, definitely many organizations look for generalists who can hit the ground running and with a minimum learning curve and providing guidance to junior designers. So these are some of the things are beneficial if you stick to multidisciplinary approach. The second approach is you specialize, generalize first and then specialize. So an understanding of end-to-end process is necessary start point, right? But being a generalist, you can wear multiple hats as and when needed, go broad before you go deep. So learn the whole process, and only when you are confident about everything from research to implementation, then decide what you enjoy most or what you are best at and focus on that. So this approach, the aim should be to balance a 360 understanding with specific skills. And the third approach I would say is the way we can look at it is specialists complement generalist in a team. So how basically that happens is, as I talked about, in a multidisciplinary team setup, generalist UX practitioner with a good grounding in many UX skills fits well. A specialist, for example, a user, say user researcher, can work in a team supporting the core group. For example, designers or the product management team, by providing the insights, right, which researcher is gathering from the user testing or user interviews, and which can help in the product backlog, defining that product backlog based on the user inputs. And also wherever, say, generalists feel that maybe they can't really do certain things, or they don't have time or aptitude to go deep into particular area, and that's where specialists can come in picture and fill in that gap. So these are complementary skills, and that's where the collaboration come in a picture. How can you make use of each other's skills? So that's, I think that's the way you can look at it. And again, the bigger organization has defined role. Many times you will see there are interaction designers, visual designers as different categories. But with a smaller company, it is many times because of the budgets also. You have, I think it's up to you where what you really like to do, and you have to pick your own path.
Okay. But now see, as a multidisciplinary, people are coming into industry, and companies are also looking for as a multidisciplinary designers. So, where you see, what is the future where we are going, and what is the future of overall as a design and for designers?
You can hear me clearly, right?
Yes, I can.
Because your voice was breaking. I thought maybe it's my internet connection. Okay. So you said, what's the future
Future,
of
yeah,
design, right? Yeah.
yes,
So I would add to that is, what is future of design and designers? Because I feel that future of designers pretty much depends on how design is progressing, right? Because we also have to align with that. So future of design, I would say it's digital and virtual. It's integrated. It is interdisciplinary, highly personalized, human centered, and extremely exciting. So that's the future I see. Um, the design paradigm is changing rapidly, and with that, with that role of the designer in terms of our roles, how what we do, our service beyond. Oh, you can hear me, right? Your
yeah,
screen got freeze. I thought maybe I got
sorry,
dropped off.
no,
No, no, that's okay. So I was saying that uh, where I was, I lost my link. So I was
yeah,
basically talking about the way it was earlier. From we moved from physical to digital. Now we are moving from digital to virtual space. So designers, as a designers, we have to adopt to this change as quickly as possible to be relevant in this coming years. So while designing for AI ML, designers will be playing the role of curators, I would say, not creators, because as they are the ones who are actually going to augment machine, right? Augmenting machine to learn about users and their needs. So the machine can augment users. So it's getting complex and complex moving forward. So that's the reason, again, system thinking is going to be foundational in design experience. Whatever you design, you have to have a system level thinking. When designing products or services, designers needs to think from like the desirability of the product, sustainability, viability of it, or the feasibility. From that perspective, you have to think. Again, the design has a huge impact on our society. Hence, ethical design and security is going to be a high priority going forward. So, something maybe we should learn, we should read about it, or what we can do as a designer to be more aligned with these concepts is something maybe we should look at.
So now see, as a lot of uh, places when we visit, as in a college or when we do mentoring, so many new upcoming talent is coming and they want to explore as a UX field or design field. So
Hmm.
for such, the next generation, or we can say the designers are coming. So as you have huge experience in this field, so what is your best advice and what they will look and plan their career? As many times we see this problem in uh, in mindset basically that
Yeah.
they have fear about whether to enter in this
Hmm.
field. So what is your
Yeah.
advice for those upcoming talents?
I think again, my advice would be based on my learnings and what helped me definitely. So first is be a sponge. As much
Okay.
as possible, try to grasp everything, try to learn, and especially I would say this for the people who are graduating, who are very new. Again, learning, there is no need of experience level. You have to keep learning, but especially for the people who are new getting into design, I think for them it's extremely important to observe, learn, because you can't design if you don't see or observe things around you. So that's the first one, very important. Second, as I said, like always learning. So I also talked about this in one of the point earlier, is companies are looking for this growth mindset. So you should keep learning, whatever, maybe whatever excites you, just keep learning that. Have that curious mindset, which leads to basically enhancing your skills at the end. Be intentional to work on your soft skill, because this is something, see, when we as a designer, we always maybe focus on our technical skills. How can I improve my maybe even conceptualization? I can improve, learn new tools, but we never focus on these soft skills, which I personally feel, and this is not just designers, but I think everyone. But the reason I'm saying designers, because we are the one, our community have to work in a really close collaborations with other organization or other cross teams in the organization. So that's the reason for us it is more crucial to have those good soft skills, right? And the collaboration skills, which is the critical aspect working in a design team. That's what I personally feel. And more and more, because collaboration is the one thing which so many maybe events I have attended or wherever I have presented, every person talked about it. So you can imagine how critical it is to be successful in the collaborating with other cross teams. And the last one I would say is be adaptable, be nimble while you are dealing with the changes. So as you learn quickly to adopt, then whatever it is, maybe uh, you are changing the team, you are changing the product, you are changing the project, uh, as quickly as you can switch the gears, you'll be successful more. Yeah,
Great
so these are the few
great
things.
advice. Yeah. And definitely, the participants today, the journey, your journey, and all the multidisciplinary will definitely help to make excellence in their career. I
Yeah.
think now I can open floor for questions. So please, just you can have any questions, you can just you can use chat for your questions. Multidisciplinary team always leads to a conflicts. How you handle throughout your career?
Yeah, I know. That's the reason I again kept talking about the collaboration, and this is something very interesting topic. I actually last month I presented in one of the event. I talked about this is exactly the same thing. How can you avoid these conflicts, right? So it's basically, see, being a UX designer, you understand the psychology of users, right? You have to do the same thing. You have to understand the psychology of your team, right? There are different stages you go through, right? Basically in the beginning you're new to the team, so that's where no one will say anything, everyone will be nice to each other. Second step is where it's forming, right? So the forming stage is where people are comfortable with each other, and then they start showing their voice, right? Or start basically projecting their opinions, because they are no more comfort, they are too comfortable with people now by that time within the team. But see, we have to understand these processes, and one thing we as a designer always keep in mind is we are the bridge between product management or business, engineering, and users. So we can help them to actually achieve what as an organization we want to achieve. So always see yourself into that role. And it is about, again, it comes to the soft skills, because it is not about you should not communicate what you feel is right, but it is about how you communicate what is right and how it's going to benefit everyone. Because think about it, everyone is working in the same on the same goal. In fact, no one has any personal intention when they have a conflict, right? Everyone wants to achieve the success, but that's where the communication plays the role. And I think communication and collaboration for designer is extremely critical, and that's the key to success, I would say. Come up with solution. If there is a conflict, you have to give them solution. Okay, if this is not going to work, what else will work? So think from there, and at the empathy point I said, right? Think from there what to do that.
Grading point of view, from so many changing technologies, and sometimes it may be difficult for designers to grasp technical concepts.
Again, I am not from technical background, right? Because when I started working on machine learning, I was frankly speaking, I was blank completely when I started. I didn't know how to and where to start, right? Because how do you design, right? So as I first of all, I prepared myself with lot of learning. I read a lot, I learned a lot, I taken some quick courses to learn the concept of machine learning, what exactly happens. And I also learned about what is my team is going to play the role, right? For example, my product management and engineering team, how they can help me give the information which I need to build a solution. So in that case, what I did is my users were my teammates who were like maybe stakeholders from engineering and product management. And then the framework I used is the design thinking framework. It's basically about asking question, what are the problems we are trying to solve, and whether ML can help me solve that problem unique way. So unique is something very important. And again, it depends on that. Basically, you decide the path. So it is about problem solving concept. What is the problem you are trying to solve? And again, when you are designing something, you also need to think from engineering perspective. What is it that we are trying to show there, right, on the UI? What is it, and how that information is going to help my customers? So that's one. Again, from the system level thinking, I would say, see, it is again about, uh, I guess it's applicable everywhere. It's not like maybe only certain areas you have to apply this, but thinking from these four aspects, right? Whether what's the desirability, what is the sustainability, right, of this product, what is the uh, uh, feasibility, whether it's going to be more, again from the business standpoint, you have to think from technology perspective. So I think this is the base. It's no matter any technology will change, the environment will change, but these few aspects are not going to change. So I think as a designer, we can easily apply that in any environment.
Thank you for answering that. We have another question from Bipin, and he wants to know what do you prefer, or like what's your core, mentoring or project management or product management?
uh, so I have done project management. I have done mentoring. And again, as I said, I enjoyed everything. I played quite different roles. I have done 2 years product management from the design standpoint for one of the large bank. It was a nightmare in terms of stress, but I did it and I learned a lot. So I know if I need to do it again, I'm confident I can do it. But whether I will do it, I'm not sure because something I didn't really enjoy that uh, much. But mentoring is something is close to my heart. So I think if I need to choose over project management and mentoring, I would choose mentoring.
Let's so conclude here. So I
Yeah.
think we are is very I think excellent and your experience and what we are we discussed today, it definitely will give some uh, the people which coming from the multidisciplinary, they always have doubts in their mind. As if looking at your career itself, I think people are getting a lot of knowledge from today's sessions, and that was actually
Yeah.
as a being woman, as we are today in that position. So thanks once again for your time, and
Thank you,
Thank you
Riya.
so much for inviting Tushar and Priyanka.
It was a really nice session. Learned a lot. Thank you everyone for joining us. And our next session is going to start at 10:30. So we'll be waiting for you guys at 10:30. Thank you. Bye bye.
thanks for
Good night,
Thanks.
Ria.
Bye,
good night.
everyone.
Bye
Bye.
bye.